believe Michael Penix will be better than Kirk Cousins, and he'll be more consistent throughout a 17-game schedule. And I believe the defense will be better. Even though we're younger, I believe our defense is going to be better because I think Jeff Ulbrich is going to be a good play caller and put our players in the good situations. Maybe not sack the quarterback all the time, but I think bend but not break style defense this year.
All About the Balls podcast
With Mark Davis, Kriska Meinhardt, Luke Rule, Jake Winnikine, Alan Tomasella, and Nick the Doc Skirkle. Good evening and good morning if you're listening in the morning. This is All About the Balls podcast. I'm Mark Davis, joined alongside two wonderful, beautiful men. I can say it, two beautiful men, Luke Rule and Kriska Meinhardt. Luke, I'll start with you. How are you doing, my friend, as we're about to dive into the NFC South, the most competitive division in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing great. I had a great 4th of July weekend. Wade flew in town on the 4th, so we went out, got a little VIP treatment of Chiefs. Nice rooftop view of the fireworks. And me and Wade, just signed up for the USA curling team. So see if we can get there.
I think Wade looks ready. I think you need to work on that, like that little.
Wade had good form. Yeah, Wade had good form.
I didn't see you scooping or whatever it was.
There was
I didn't because there's too much. Wade put too much gas on it. He had too much gas on that one.
Don't you scoop it to slow it down?
No, it speeds it up.
Yeah, it speeds it up. Oh, see,
I always thought you scooped it to slow it down.
No, you're sweeping. So it's a little like kind of like a.
I don't know.
Chris don't know about sweeping. Yeah, he don't know about sweeping.
Yeah, he's like a sweeper. Hey, that's sport. Sport's a lot harder than it looks, but it was a good time.
He also made an Instagram page. I saw Wade was very decorate, really festive, actually. I would say. So
yeah. We were on Whiskey Riff. Got the backside of us. So watching fireworks. So that was kind of cool video.
Hell yeah, Chris, how was your 4th of July, my friend?
Good. Me and the family went out to Savannah. Spent the week out at the beach. Great time. Kids love the beach. Spent the week with Gage. So that was
love that man.
Yeah, love him.
Sucks he didn't bring you Buc-ee's though, but yeah.
Yeah, and now I have 3 days home, and then I have to leave Thursday to go to be a fucking soldier. So
nice.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah, 4th of July was good. Spent it in the Sunshine State, Florida. So we were all in the Southeast this year. It seemed like 249th birthday for the country that we live in, and next year 250. Boys, England gets the day off next year, unfortunately, but they had to work this year.
Well, we'll be watching the UFC event on the White House lawns next year.
They might pull you guys for security. You never know. They might pull you off to go out there to handle the front lawn.
They ain't pull me.
If people show up, unlike the parade, they don't have to back up on the security.
Yeah, we'll see how they do it next year. But boys, it's a special episode. We changed the order. We did the NFC back to back. Normally we do the AFC first of each, South, East, West, North. We wanted to knock the NFC South out now while Chris was in town, like he said. So, Chris, this is our division. I hope you're excited as I am. New Orleans Saints, Carolina Panthers, Falcons, and Bucks, man. It's going to be a good one. And let's start off with the New Orleans Saints. That's right. The team out there in the Bayou, pretty much in the French Quarter, the New Orleans Saints. Chris, this is your team. I'll let you start us off when we get in there. But you saw 5-12 last year. A lot of changes. No Derek Carr this year, and you bring in Tyler Shuck, and you still have Spencer Rattler. So who's the quarterback going to be? We'll talk about that. You bring in Kelvin Banks to shore up the offensive line. You bring Brandon Cooks back, Justin Reed, Isaac Yadam, and you have a good pick, in my opinion, with Jonas Sanker. Like I said, you lost a lot of guys. I know Paulson Adebo was not a guy you wanted to lose. You lost your leading receiver last year, MVS, but you do get your boy back, Chris Olave, hopefully. So, Chris, start us off here. What about the New Orleans Saints should we be looking forward to for this 2025 season?
Yeah, I mean, there's new voice there. There's new hope in the locker room. But, I mean, I still think we're underdogs. I don't think we're going to be lighting up the scoreboard. I mean, the big question around us is who's going to be taking the snaps. Is it Tyler Shuck or is it Rattler?
Or both.
Or both. I mean, there hasn't really been any movement. There hasn't been any talk about who's leading the way. I mean, the only reason I would think that Tyler Shuck might start is because Kellen Moore came in and Kellen Moore picked the guy. So, I mean, we might see Rattler on a short leash and then switch to Shuck. Not sure. But I like the Kellen Moore hire. I like Garrett Nussmeier hire. Not Garrett Nussmeier, but Nussmeier daddy.
His father.
You might
Yeah,
get
his
the other
father.
one. You might get the other one next
Yeah,
year.
you could.
we might.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I was going to say. I asked too. Luke, I'm glad you brought that up. Do we see the New Orleans Saints being a top 2, top 3 pick at the end of the season? I mean, I honestly think they're going to be battling with the Browns and Giants for that top spot.
Yeah, man. I would say they're probably at least a top 5 pick. I mean, it sucks to say because it's been the Saints were so good for so long with Drew Brees, and now he's been gone. They just haven't really been able to figure it back out without Brees. They had a couple seasons that they did all right, but it just hasn't felt the same with the Saints.
Well, I mean, I feel like
aging roster going on. I would assume you're going to be in cap hell again next year. I think Derek Carr's retirement did help you guys, so it's good on him. That was probably your biggest offseason move, I think, was Derek Carr retiring.
I just think the team legit. There you go, Chris.
Go ahead. I mean, I don't think we're going to be too much cap. We might still be a little bit negative, but I think Derek Carr definitely helped. All these dead cap space is giving up. I mean, I think this year we still paid fucking Michael Thomas and fucking other people. There's definitely some aging in the secondary, but it's pretty young in the back room. But no, I'm happy that fucking Sean Payton era is over.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing. Like all the coaches that have been there, even Sean Payton left, it's still been Sean Payton there. So it's fresh.
It's his coaching tree. And like you said, it's fresh. You got Kellen Moore, Chris, Matt Eberflus coming from the Bears DC. I like that hire. I think he's a good DC.
No,
I just don't know how I feel about the play.
Wrong team. Yeah, Brandon Staley.
I'm sorry, Brandon. Sorry,
Yep.
Brandon. Sorry, that was Cowboys.
Also pretty good DC.
No, I'm not a fan of him, actually. I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking of Matt. But no, yeah, Brandon Staley. But the players, I'm interested. Like you mentioned, they're aging. Obviously, everyone's aging. We already established that. But honestly, guys that are older, guys that are not proven yet as youngsters, too. So that happy medium of youth and, experience, how's that going to play in? This last year was probably the worst year I've ever seen the New Orleans Saints in a long time play defense, probably since maybe the middle Drew Brees years, when the Saints defense was kind of taking a hit after the Bounty Gate years. So this defense, I don't know what it's going to do for this offense either. And I just think it's going to be your defense is going to be on the field a lot because your offense is not proven. You have a quarterback situation. We don't know what's going to be seen like. I asked you, Chris, before, does Alvin Kamara get traded? I think it'd be a good move for the Saints to trade him in the middle of the season to a contender. Get some draft capital out of him. You're not going to really utilize him the next couple of years to build a core, to build a foundation for the future of the New Orleans Saints with Kellen Moore. So I mean, there's a lot of things too. Chris Olave, his health. I mean, unfortunately, he's been banged up with concussions. So this is a team with a lot of what ifs and a lot of we don't know. I really truly think it's a rebuild. I don't think it's a retool. I think it's a rebuild, and I would hope for them to see Kellen Moore kind of hold it out a little bit if they give him some years. I think it's going to take a few years for Kellen Moore to get out of the cap hell situation, which shouldn't be that much longer, I don't think, either.
No, I think next year we're negative, and then the next following year we're positive. Not by
I don't
much,
think it's
but positive.
Yeah, but I also don't think it's that much negative either, is it?
Yeah.
No, I think it was like 13 or something.
Way better.
Don't quote me on it, but
Well, it's better than the 90 million that y'all are you would have been accustomed to.
yeah, Mickey Loomis can do his magic.
And like Luke
said,
you might get Nussmeier next year. You might get one of those stellar quarterbacks because you only spent a second round on Shuck. Yeah, would that suck to see him go after 1 year, or not go, but really not start? If you draft a quarterback next year, it's going to be pretty much over. But I don't know, man. It's crazy because the over under for them is 4.5. And Chris, I have under. I think this is a 3-win team, maybe 2. I think the floor's 2, the ceiling's 4. I just don't trust anything this team has got going for them outside Alvin Kamara.
I mean, I think the over under is probably it's set at a good number. I probably lead. It's at 5.5, right?
4.5.
4.
I don't know. That was tough. I could see them squeezing out a couple games. Maybe they shouldn't have win. Maybe early on, maybe they sneak up on Arizona because we still don't really know what Arizona's going to do. If Kyler Murray's going to be, he's in his prove it year to figure out if he's going to be the long term quarterback there. So maybe squeak out one or two of the NFC South teams, then Tennessee and New York. I could see those being wins too.
Is the Tennessee one at home or in Nashville?
It's in
In
Nashville.
Nashville.
That's one thing they got going for them, I guess, for the Titans. But yeah, like they could sneak that one out. And the NFC South, I mean, we usually, I wouldn't say the Bucks anymore because Lattimore's not there anymore to get in Mike Evans' head. I can maybe see them splitting with Carolina and even Atlanta. I really do think they could split with us. It's just the way that rivalry goes. It's usually a 1-1 season split. At least it's been most of our lifetime, Chris. Even when Drew Brees was there, it seemed like some of the years Drew Brees did split with the Falcons. So, yeah, they could probably sneak out a couple division wins, go 2-4, and maybe get the Giants and Titans, maybe the Cardinals too, week 1. But I don't know. I'm just comfortable with that 3 or 4 this year for them.
Yeah, I think I'm right. I'm gonna take the over on them. I'll ride with 5 wins. I still think 5 wins get you at a top 5 pick, but
I'm gonna go over. And you know what? I hope 5 wins does get us the top 5 pick because we got 5 wins last year and we were pick number 9, which any other year before that we would have been a top 5 pick. So I mean, if we're gonna get 5 wins, I hope the rest of the league does great because last year was bullshit.
Yeah, it seemed like everyone was right at that 5 wins or below. So like that was in that top 10. Did you like your first overall pick? I know he's a Texas boy, but I know there was a lot of hate on him in the big games, but you were kind of reeling that in, saying a lot of his sacks that he gave up were extended plays.
No, I think I like what we're doing in the offensive line. I think Kelvin Banks is going to be great for us. Fuga, he played great last year. And I think that's going to give Penning to jump into that guard role, which I think he's going to be better than a tackle spot. So I think Kellen Moore did great on the offensive line. I don't think that's going to have to be a worry.
Yeah, so whoever the quarterback of the future is going to be, I guess that sets up good for them. I mean, Fuanga and Banks, I mean, 2 beasts at tackle, and then, like you said, move Penning to guard. Yeah, just figure out the defense and offense, Chris, and maybe the Saints come back in a couple of years.
Fingers crossed.
Well, that is the Who Dat Nation, the New Orleans Saints. Moving on to the team in the Queen City, the Carolina Panthers, a team that went 5-12, just like the New Orleans Saints. They were 3rd place based on tiebreaker, and an interesting offseason for them. You got Tet McMillan with your first overall pick to pair with Xavier Legette, who they drafted last year. You get Nick Scorin and Princely Umanal, and I know I fucked that name up, but butchered that one. But you got Bobby Brown, and you got Ward at safety. You got some guys to come in. You didn't lose many players. Really, it was hard to find meaningful losses. Clowney was probably the biggest one. I mean, Shaq Thompson hasn't been playing that much lately. So Bryce Young last year, boys, did play a lot better after he got reinserted to the lineup. So the 2025 Carolina Panthers, how are we feeling?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I kind of like what the Panthers did this offseason. They really put weapons around Young, so he can be probably a little more comfortable. I mean, getting Tet with their first overall pick, I think that was a good pick for them. Probably the right pick with the players that are still available. Help Bryce Young out, get that true number 1 quarterback. Because I think Legette's better as a number 2 overall, and you still have a Thielen, his old ass, just running around.
It's good to have a vet like him on the field still.
Yeah, but as long as they start getting keep the running backs healthy, they had a few. Your Texas boy, I don't think he's ever gonna figure it out.
Well, there's another Texas boy. They got Jatavion Sanders too, a tight end.
Tight end product.
I know. I got him in my dynasty. Yeah. So hopefully
Panthers are just extremely young. I think. Look, you hit it. The Panthers are building for the right direction. Maybe not 2025. They're going to be a winning team, maybe a playoff team. I think competitive losers. I've said that a couple of years the last time. And for these teams like the Texans and the Commanders, and they both made the playoffs. So maybe the Panthers, they continue that trend for me. I believe competitive losers, I think they're there. They're getting there. They had a top 10 offensive line last year, according to PFF. And then you have Legette and you have McMillan. I think they're building. You have Tommy Tremble. You have Jatavion Sanders. Chuba Herbert looked good last year. You bring in Dottle and you bring in Baby Etienne. This offense, I believe, is going to be pretty decent. The defense is still they're unknown. They're just unknown at the moment. And that was the worst defense in football last year. So if they can maybe play a little better, maybe they make a surprise run for a wild card spot.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it, Mark. On the defense is what worries me, and that's what they've been bad at. I mean, interesting fact: the Panthers allowed the third most points in the past 20 years. So
Damn.
their defense has been very bad for a very long time. And they were bad last year. They kept the defensive coordinator, so that was kind of a big shock there. They brought in a couple edge rushers, linebackers still questionable, but I like what they did on the offensive side. You have Adam Thielen there. I still think he's great, not fantastic, but definitely a great veteran wide receiver to have in your core. Xavier Legette, you brought Ted McMillan, so
He's a beast.
And we saw Bryce Young step up last year, so I think the third year be even better.
And year 2 with Dave Canales too. That's the big part. Now it's year 2 in the same offense, which is good for a guy like Bryce Young. Chris, you mentioned the pass rushers. Nick Scorin, in my opinion, was probably the best pass rusher out of Texas A&M. I believe they got the better one out of the two, and he came in the second round. So you bring in Scorin, you bring in Princely from Ole Miss, and 2 studs in college now. Obviously, can they transition over? The secondary, you pay J.C. Horn to safety help. We're going to see what they do. They lost a couple safeties. They brought one in. So the secondary might be a little bit of a problem, but I believe the front defensive line can be good. They're going to be young, but I believe this can be a good team, at least competitive. Maybe, and I think fun to watch. I think this offense is going to be exciting. I think Bryce Young could be a sleeper for fantasy football and redraft league too.
I agree, Mark.
Yeah, I just didn't know me
I
Now the over-under for them is 6.5. And that's a hard one for me because I could see 7, but I think I'm going to hover at the 6. I think 6 is where they're at.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Looking at their schedule, I'm like, I think 6 wins. I think that is a good year for them. It's an improvement. And just like you said, probably gonna be competitive losers most of the time. I think they stay in a lot of games throughout this season. Probably a lot of one-score games, but they just probably don't finish them. So I got 6 wins for them. So under.
I think I'll have over. I think 7. I think they get past the 6.5.
I think 2026.
This might play out different when I do my official, but I mean, just looking at schedules right now, I don't know how my over and unders will play out in division rankings, but
I think they
7.
Yeah, I can see 7, and I think they're building for 2026 and on, and I think that's the year that we see the Panthers potentially get in the playoffs. But like I said, the last 2 years, my competitive losers have made the playoffs. The Houston Texans and the Washington Commanders with C.J. Stroud and then Jaden Daniels. Now, Bryce Young's not a rookie, so he's got some experience. So we'll see what Bryce Young can do with this young squad too. Honestly, just very young, very youthful.
They only have 3 games that are not at noon.
Only 3 that are
not noon games. They got
the Cardinals at 4.
Oh, okay, yeah, guys. I misheard that. I thought you meant they only have 3 noon games.
No, well,
they have
they're noon for me.
The 1 p.m. slot, noon for you. But that's the Carolina Panthers, and I think all eyes should be on the Carolina Panthers this year. I think they will be an exciting team to watch. Moving on to my team out of Atlanta, the Dirty Birds, the Atlanta Falcons, the team that went 8-9. They're a disappointing season, if you ask me. You brought Kirk Cousins in, and he didn't do good unless he played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys and maybe 1 or 2 other teams. And, they draft Michael Penix, and I guess it was the right draft pick. Wasn't the right signing at quarterback, but it was the right draft pick. You bring in a lot of pass rushes. You bring in Leonard Floyd, Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr., 2 first-round guys. A lot of youth, too, in the secondary. Xavier Watts, Billy Bowman, and then a couple guys at vets. And then not much big names lost. Grady Jarrett and Drew Dahlman, those are the 2 big ones to me. You have, starting D tackle and starting center. That's gone. But, guys, the 2025 Atlanta Falcons, I know, we don't know what's going to happen. But what do we think this team is going to do with the Michael Penix era beginning?
I mean, to start off, they got to do something on the defense. Last year, Falcons ranked 31st in sacks, which was better. Which was better than the previous year when they ranked 32nd. So
that's an improvement.
Well, we've historically
improved.
been probably one of the worst, if not the worst, franchise when it comes to sacking the quarterback.
Yeah. So, I mean, improved there. Went heavy in the draft. Questionable trade that we'll see if it pays off with getting your two edges, Pierce and Walker. So we'll see if that pays off. And then the secondary. I mean, they ended the season with giving up 400 plus yards to the Commanders and the Panthers. You bring in a new defensive coordinator. So, I mean, you got Bates back there. You got Hellman's, the Watts rookie.
By the way, very disappointed that the NFL top 100 had Jesse Bates at like 92. Very disappointed.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see what that secondary can do with the passing attack. I mean, the defense. So, and then talk of the show, Michael Penix. Can the Falcons get the offense going? I mean, you have so many playmakers, but it just never seems like it's a high rolling offense.
I liked what I saw from Michael Penix, the 3 games he started. Now, the Giants game, a little slow. I mean, it was his first career start. The interception that he threw with Pitts was not really on Penix. It was on, I mean, I guess you could say it's on him because he threw it to Kyle Pitts. But still hope for Kyle Pitts to break out, to be back to his rookie season form. But I liked what I saw back with Michael Penix the last couple games, too. He looked really good against the Commanders. He looked really good against the Carolina Panthers. Unfortunately, we went 0-2 in those 2 games. I don't believe it was his fault. Don't believe it was the offense's fault. Like you said, Chris, the defense, they got to step up. I like the Watts pick. I like the Bowman pick too. So we are stacking on the secondary and the D-line now. Like I said, historically been a bad pass rushing team. But this offense, I believe we will be a top 10 offense. I believe Bijan Robinson is going to have a top 3 or 4 running back season this year. I believe Bijan is one of the best running backs in football. Drake London proved with a quarterback he can be a wide receiver 1. I was told on this show he can't be in fantasy or on a depth chart. And he looked like a bona fide number 1 receiver. Not Jamar Chase, not Justin Jefferson, but he was a top 10 receiver last year in the NFL. And I believe Michael Penix is going to elevate him even more. Those 3 games, Drake London was targeted very heavy. And I believe Darnell Mooney will have a decent season. And I think the running game is just going to be good, and it's going to help Michael Penix. Now, do I think we're going to go 13-4, 12-5? I'm not saying all that. But I do believe this is going to be a much better team than 8-9 than we were last year.
Yeah, I think your season really depends on how Michael Penix ends up playing. I'm kind of viewing this year mainly as like a rookie year for him. Yeah, he got like a little bit taste in his like 3 games that he got to play. But other than like, I think that was end of the last season. I think he just got a little taste. I think this is going to be like his true test, doing it over a long period of time, having the full-time starting job. Unless he fucks it up, then throw a little Kirk back in there.
But see, like I understand it was 3 games.
Which is really beneficial for him. Because, like, he already went through an offseason. So going into this offseason, he already knows what to expect. He started 3 games. So he kind of knows already, like, what the expectations are for him starting games. So, I mean, I think that was huge for him. I also don't think you can go back to Kirk Cousins.
No, I don't. I don't think that either. But the thing is, Luke, you mentioned, he got a little taste, but those weren't just like, the season's over taste. The playoffs are still on the line. I mean, we had an opportunity to get to the playoffs. Like I said, we went 0-2, but those 2 losses were not on Michael Penix. I mean, he played good. Yeah, maybe a little slow against Commanders, but he took us to overtime. He took us to overtime with a 12-5 Washington Commanders, went to the NFC Championship in Landover, Maryland, nonetheless, too. It wasn't at home. It was in the Commander Stadium. So, I get it, little taste, and there's probably a little game film now on him, but he played well in the games that we needed him to play in to potentially get us to the playoffs. It just was unfortunate our defense was not the defense that we needed those 2 weeks. But I do agree with you guys. The season's going to ride on Michael Penix's shoulders. As good as Bijan is going to be and probably will be, it's on Michael Penix to not be Superman, but not to be careless with the ball and turn it over and try and be a superhero. Just be a game manager if you have to. You have a good offense, like Chris mentioned. You have talent out all over the field. Trust the running backs, one of the best running back duos, and then trust the receivers, and hopefully Kyle Pitts gets his head out of his ass. Over-under is 7.5 for the Falcons. Yeah. And I'm going to go with the over. I believe that the NFC South will have 2 teams. The other one we haven't talked about yet. I believe the division is going to come down to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons, and I believe both teams will have at least 10 wins. I believe the second place team will be 10-7 or 11-6, and probably the first place team will be 12-5. So with that being said, the Falcons, I believe, do get double digits. I believe we are a better team than we were last year. I believe Michael Penix will be better than Kirk Cousins, and he'll be more consistent throughout a 17-game schedule. And I believe the defense will be better. Even though we're younger, I believe our defense is going to be better because I think Jeff Ulbrich is going to be a good play caller and put our players in the good situations. Maybe not sack the quarterback all the time, but I think bend but not break style defense this year.
I think I have you guys win total pretty much the same exact as last year. So that would put you guys at the over. So, but I'm right. It's right at 7 or 8 wins, and I'll give you guys probably an upset that you guys win. So,
okay,
I think 8 wins is about fair.
Over 7.5.
I'm sorry. I disrespected the Saints, and Chris is out here actually giving me the over, man. I feel bad now. I do feel bad.
Hey, non-biased.
Saints get the over now.
I'm not being biased neither. Now, I understand Jake's going to say, well, Mark, you always have them this. So, no, there's some years I've had us, under hitting the under. But I believe Michael Penix is actually not a bad quarterback. I think he is pretty good. And I do believe this offense. I forgot which player on our team said we're going to be the best offense. I do not believe we'll be the best offense. But I do think a top 10 offense is realistic for us this year if Michael Penix plays pretty good football. And that's what like you said, it rides on. But give me the over on the Dirty Birds. Moving on to the 4-time NFC South division champions in the 5th year. It was a Super Bowl. So, I mean, they might not have won the division, but they won the Super Bowl with Brady. But a team that went 10-7, Luke's closet team, the Bucks. What a hell of a draft. I mean, Emeka Buka, Benjamin Morris, and Jacob Parrish, I believe, steals. I believe good picks. When we see Buka, we'll find that out. And then you got Hassan Reddick. We'll see if he's actually going to play this year. And I had a hard time finding losses. I mean, yeah, Shaq Barrett didn't really play. Whitehead, and then Joe Tyron was pretty big. KJ Britt played a lot too. So just a few losses for the Bucks guys. So a team that's won this division since 2021. How do we feel about 2025?
Yeah, I think the Bucks are about to do the same thing again. I think they're going to continue running the South again for this year. Their wide receiver core is stacked now. So they got four pretty good wide receivers, two probably great ones, top tier. Probably one of the better duos in the NFL.
Well, we got to see what Godwin's going to be like now coming back.
Yeah, but if Godwin is his normal self, they're one of the best duos. Then you add Mbuka in there with him, a first-round pick, who was a pretty solid wide receiver at Ohio State. Then their running backs, Bucky Irvin had an explosive year last year. He ended up taking over the RB1 slot, it looks like. And Rachaad White's still a solid running back, good pass catcher out of the backfield. So I like what they do, what the offense is doing. I think you said it earlier, their defense can be like their question mark. But I trust Todd Bowles with doing his defense. He likes to blitz every fucking play. So I would assume a little more of the same there. A lot more young guys, but this year they got a little bit younger on the defense side. They still got a couple of old guys, Vita Vea's getting up there, and Hassan Reddick, see what he does coming over to the Bucks, see if he actually wants to play football this year. Then Levante David, he's also getting up there. He's aging. He's a nice aging linebacker. So, but yeah.
I'm not sure.
Good safety duo over here too.
Well, they got
Winfield, and Eisen or something like that. I think he's okay.
Well, you also mentioned too. I'm not sure if you mentioned, but they also have McMillan too as wide receiver. So you add in him who was pretty good when Chris Godwin got hurt. So, I mean, yeah, you have 4 receivers. Good luck picking one for fantasy football. I mean, you don't know which one's going to be the hot hand. Bucky was pretty good. Baker, I think this is going to be. I mentioned Stafford and I mentioned Bo Nix in the MVP candidate. Throw Baker in that hat too. I think they're 3 of my top 5 candidates at the moment. I think Baker is going to have a hell of a season. We like to see him. Well, I don't want to see him do it, but as a non-biased, cut the interceptions down. That's just one thing. He's a gunslinger. He will try and squeeze it into the tight holes, the tight pockets, but that's the one thing that he can eliminate. If he can do that, I think the Bucks can. I think the Bucks are Super Bowl contenders. I really do. With defensive question marks, like you said, but I do believe this team can be a contender for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, they're going in the season offense almost fully intact from what they did last year, except adding Ibuka. I think this might be one of the deepest receiver rooms. We can see the biggest loss being Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator.
Duval.
Funny enough, this is Baker's 8th offensive coordinator.
Jesus, dude.
In 7 years, I think.
In as many seasons that he's had a new offensive coordinator.
And it's not his fault, too. I mean, well, I guess it is his fault because he plays good, so the guy gets usually promoted. But usually,
they were bad reasons at first.
Well, he wasn't bad in Cleveland, though. I mean, yeah.
But yeah, they weren't getting fired for good. They were getting fired, not hired.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the defensive upgrades that they've made on that side of the ball, I think another 10-win season. And then I know we don't like to throw around strength of schedule, but also helps having the top 10 easiest schedule. So, I mean,
does help.
I mean, I think even if they had a difficult schedule according to strength of schedule, I just think this team's good. I mean, they
did beat the Commanders, Lions, Eagles last year. They did lose to the Dak Prescott-less Cowboys, but I mean, they've shown that they can win.
And they lost to the Commanders, though. They did split. Commanders did beat them the last time they played.
The more mattered.
The more wouldn't matter. I mean, they also beat the Commanders week 1. That was Jane Daniels' first career start. I mean, let's not take away from the win, but it was still his first career start. They did. It wasn't the Commanders, though, like that that was the Commanders that we were used to seeing, down the stretch and whatnot. But no, this Bucs team, Luke, I know this is your closet team, and I know you'll be rooting for old Baker, shake and bake out there. But I don't know, man. It's going to be an interesting season. I still think it comes down to Atlanta and Tampa Bay. I mean, I think Tampa, yes, they are the favorite, and they should be. They should be the favorite for a reason. Like Chris said, this offense is fully intact, minus the offensive coordinator. And then the defense, they didn't really lose a lot, and they drafted. So we'll see if the youth can kick in with they're not so big names, but they play decent. Like, it's an average defense last year. So can they improve there, or do they regress, or do they stay where they're at? But I don't know. It's a very question mark. Over under is, I believe, 9.5. And I'm hammering the over. I just think this is an over. Like I said, 2 teams from the South get double digits, and this is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, looking at like just their last 5 weeks, they got 4 NFC South teams. 4 NFC South games that they're playing.
That's a big stretch, though. Honestly,
the end. Well,
I mean, it's division games. But division games.
And then they got Miami, a short drive to Miami in that 5-game stretch. So I mean,
and Miami in December usually is not that good. So.
But it's in Miami. I mean, even if it was in Tampa, I mean, same weather pretty much.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, I mean, the schedule doesn't look too bad. I think they probably split the Falcons. I think you guys go home and home against each other. They got I don't see too many losses. I got them probably around 11 wins. I think that's a solid season for them, and 11 wins puts them winning the South.
Ooh, maybe. Well, we'll talk that question mark in a minute. Teaser. It's one of the questions.
Well,
more because the Falcons winning the South.
I don't have it yet. Like Jake, like you said about the Niners and the Rams. Let me get to September, late August, and I'll give my every time I have done a prediction, I've done like 3 or 4. I have Tampa edging us out by a game, and it's been 12-5 and us 11-6.
Gotcha.
So, Chris, over though, I'm assuming.
Well, over, yeah.
Well, that's the NFC South as a whole, as individuals, and we do have some questions. Luke, what I was saying was the whole 11-6. Or does that give them as a division? Will this division have 2 playoff teams? Can we see a 12-win team and 11-win team, for example, or a 12-10 style team?
I think it's tough. I mean, obviously it's possible. I think the only way you get in with 2 teams in the NFC South is if Penix has a really good season. Because I think the Bucs are probably pretty much a lock unless something crazy goes. If Baker gets hurt and they're stuck with Kyle Trask at quarterback. If Baker's healthy the whole season, I don't see the Bucs missing the playoffs at all. I mean, even if it's in a wild card slot. But it's all up on Penix to see what he can do this season.
Yeah, I think we get two. I said that we get two from the West, two from the East, and I believe we get two from the South. I believe that the Falcons and Bucks both make it. Just don't know who the winner is going to be yet at the moment. I would love to say Atlanta. The heart says pick them, but the brain, the logic of it is saying the Bucks win the division. Falcons get a playoff game, and that's good. It's good. It's good to start for Michael Penix's career.
Yeah, I can see the Falcons sneaking in there.
But will we get two, Chris? Will we get two, Chris? If I say
well, I mean, Tampa's winning the division. So
okay.
The only question is, can the Falcons sneak in there?
I'm saying yes. It's just the way it's going to go for me. And then the last
little hope going into the season for you.
Yeah, I have a little bit. And I said I liked what I saw from Pitt. I really do. I liked what I saw. I'm not saying he's going to be like Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar. One of these bona fide studs. But I liked what I saw, and I think he's going to have a decent start to his career at least. But last question. We talked about the defenses. All of them have question marks. Which defense is going to be the best defense in the NFC South?
I'm gonna have to go Tampa here. I think what they added on, and then also not having to heavily rely on the offense slowing them down. I mean, I don't know what Michael Penix is gonna look like. So
it's this talk of the division. I'm not saying like talk about.
I told you before, but I mean, that's the big question mark.
He's the biggest question mark in the division. Oh, I agree.
So I mean, will he be able to help the defense out? And Baker Mayfield's proved several seasons already that he can help the defense out.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think the biggest thing here is the Tampa's defense isn't going to have to be on the field nearly as much as at least the Saints and the Panthers and maybe the Falcons, depending on Penix, But I think Baker's going to be able to keep his offense on the field more so you got a less tired defense, and that adds up when it's going down the stretch of the season. You got healthy players on the defense to help you out. So I like, and plus I trust Todd Bowles on at least on the defensive side. I don't always agree on some of his decision making as a head coach, but as a defensive coordinator, running the defense, I think I trust him. I like watching them blitz every play, so it's kind of fun to watch their defense play.
I am interested to see the Falcons defense. I believe Raheem Morris and Jeff Ulbrich, who did coach together in Atlanta before, what they can scheme up together. It's going to be interesting to see with the youth and some of the pros like AJ Terrell and Jesse Bates and guys like that. But I agree. It's probably Tampa Bay. Like you said, you have Todd Bowles, defensive-minded coach, truly defensive-minded coach, and he knows how to coach a defense. Might not be the best head coach with his situational coaching, but I believe the defense is more intact too, probably a lot more proven vets on all three phases of the defense. With you have Winfield, you have Levante David, you have Vita Vea out there, so you have a pro, an experienced pro, a good one too, on all three levels. So I agree, Tampa Bay, but I'm interested to see what Atlanta can do with Ulbrich and Raheem Morris together, scheming up a defense. Well, that was the NFC South, and Chris, I know you're excited. I'm excited. We're a couple months away from the NFL, from the NFC South being once again the most competitive division in football, and potentially win the Super Bowl this year. I'm going to say it. One of us might win it this year.
Yeah, I mean, we're here. I feel like whenever EA comes out, it kind of sets the mood on football season's coming. I mean, we got a game this month. Not a huge game, but we have football. So,
Hall of Fame game.
Hall of Fame game. So we have that. And then
you're gonna go to it? It's right down the road.
I know. Paige did ask. She was like, "Do you want to go to it?" And I said, "Fuck no."
How much are tickets?
Probably very dirty cheap.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I would go just for the experience. I mean, if it's like $15-20, why not?
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
You might pay more for parking than the ticket.
What teams are in it this year?
Chargers and Lions.
Yeah, at least they're good teams. I mean, starters aren't going to play.
Yeah,
starters won't play. But they're good teams.
Anybody I watch is probably not going to play.
Well, yeah. Josh Jacobs did play in the Hall of Fame game a couple years ago. And the same year he played, he led the league in rushing. Now, he was also playing for his contract because the Raiders said, we're not picking up your fifth-year extension. That's the only guy I can think of that actually had a meaningful, unless you're a punter or kicker.
But yeah, they
Yeah.
did Josh Jacobs dirty with that, but it is what it is.
And now he's on the Packers having a good little tenure there. But guys, we're down to one division left, and that's the AFC South. So next week we wrap up this little mini 8-division series, and then we start getting ready for college football. We start getting ready for fantasy football, and it's getting there, boys. We're just a little over a month and a half away. I know me and Chris, Luke, you don't play, but we got college football games. I've already started Dynasty for Virginia Tech. I already beat South Carolina. The Hokies are going to the chip this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You got Enter Sandman running out before the home game.
I haven't experienced Enter Sandman yet because the first game is in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But this week when I play Vanderbilt, Enter the Sandman will be playing.
It's game time.
It is game time. But boys, it was great. Chris, good luck out there in the field. Hopefully you kick ass playing Army for the week.
Gonna sit on a hill and watch people shoot artillery rounds.
You'll be on
Oh, yeah.
YouTube a lot, probably. Don't lie.
Yeah, probably.
Luke, hopefully you're back here next week. You're usually the consistent one. No offense to everyone else.
Yeah, I'll be here next week. The week after that, I'll be gone. I'll be down in Florida, in the Tampa, Treasure Island area. So
Hell yeah, brother.
I got to go on my beach trip. Everybody else is getting beach trips. It's my turn.
It's your turn. Sit back, enjoy the sand.
Yeah, I guess
Can't
me and
wait
Doc,
for
me and Doc have to get one of these coming up too. I guess you and Chris and Jake all had your guys' weeks at the beach. Well, you're about to have your week at the beach. But boys, great episode. That's Luke Rule. That's Chris Glenn. I'm Mark Davis. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and we'll be back next time at the AFC South. Goodbye. Thank you for checking out another episode of All About the Balls podcast. We want to thank all of our listeners and supporters of the Sack House. You can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at the Sack House.